Chief Quimby here, and your assignment is to listen to ToonCast.
Hello and welcome to the 89th episode of ToonCast, brought to you by the GeekCast Radio Network. I am your host, Dave Jim Mike, and today I'm joined once again by Kevin Optimus Solo Thompson. Hello, sir.
Hello.
And the rising star, Tarah. Hello.
Hey.
Today we will be going back into the Disney Vault and talking about the Little Mermaid franchise. So, Tarah, what's been going on with you?
Not too much. Just been back in school for about a week now and getting back into things, and then driving lessons and getting prank called, which is really, really fun. Not. Seriously, people need to grow up. Like, honestly, like I'm almost 20 years old. Like, you know, what is this, 5th grade? Like, yeah. You don't have to call me and pretend to be one of my friends. Like, I obviously will know my friend's voice. Like, I'm not an idiot. You know? Like, if you can't do, like, I'll just use this. My friend's, he's Middle Eastern. So he has a bit of an accent. So this person calls me pretending to have a Middle Eastern accent, and he's doing a really bad job of it. So I'm like, okay, obviously you're not who you say you are. And he's like, I think I know who I am. And I'm like, obviously you don't, because you're doing the accent wrong. So, yeah, that was my day today.
Nice. That's always fun.
Yeah. How about you, Kevin?
Oh, lordy. Between doing all the work for you as far as editing scripts and editing programs and writing scripts and all this other nonsense.
You make it sound like I'm at your house, standing behind you with a whip saying, do it now!
No, not a whip.
It's not.
Besides doing stuff for GeekCast Radio and getting stuff, ready for our epic top 100 list, just been adding a lot of shows over at Behind the Voice Actors. I've been going on a Hanna-Barbera kick, and then I also parlayed that into adding some of the components of Saturday Super K, like Frogger and Q*bert and Donkey Kong and Donkey Kong Jr. to the site. So I've been busy.
Yeah.
And shoveling snow.
Thank God the snow's gone here.
And apparently being
so
a chauffeur or a taxi service for everybody that needs it. I don't understand how I got roped into that, but 3 times over the weekend I was giving different people rides different places. I think someone owes me a tank of gas.
Or a beer.
Yeah, or both.
Yeah.
Not at the same time, though.
No, that'd be good.
What about you, Mike?
We're actually finishing up Secret Origins podcast. That show's almost done. Since I already told Kevin about this, I'll break it here as well. GeekCast Radio Network coming this March will have a brand new podcast. It'll be another monthly podcast like GCRN Gamers, but it's our first ever collaboration with another geek network. Scotty Cash from the Pop Culture Network, will be doing an audio version of his video show called From the Command Center, where each episode we will take a look at a Power Rangers series.
Oh my God. Nice. Why I know about this.
Do you want me to insert cricket sounds during this part?
What?
Do you want me to
I love Power Rangers.
Power Rangers is awesome.
Oh, man.
I'm going to stab myself in the ears.
You're so mean, Kev.
He just doesn't get it.
I get it. It's just stupid.
He just doesn't get it.
Well, I love Power Rangers, so I'll definitely.
You're younger. You're younger. You're allowed to. Mike should know better. He's older.
I was 13 when Mighty Morphin came out in 1990. I was 13. So.
He was old enough to know better.
Yes.
That's what you're saying.
And young enough not to give a damn. Damn it.
I can't blame young people for liking what's on when they're young. Mike was
old enough. What did you like when you were young, Kevin? Thank you very much. Yeah, see?
People can like anything. I'm saying when you're 13 and 14, that's when you should be developing a sense of knowing what's stupid and what's not stupid.
Well, some people are 40 and don't know what's stupid. That's not true. That's not true.
Shorts is stupid.
What'd you say?
You heard me.
I'm not saying Salute Your Shorts is not stupid. I'm not disagreeing with you on that fact. Train wreck.
Oh, not a train wreck.
So, anyway.
Get into why we're here, guys.
Yes. Before we do that, we're going to go to the one of the trailers for A Little Mermaid, and then we'll come back with A Little Mermaid. Seeing as how we're going to be doing 3 movies in this episode, we're going to do ToonCast just a little bit differently with breaking it up. So up next, you'll hear the trailer for Little Mermaid.
For over 50 years, Walt Disney has turned classic stories into classic animated motion pictures. Now the tradition continues as one of the world's greatest stories becomes the newest Disney motion picture classic, The Little Mermaid.
I want to be where the people are. I want to see them dancing. Up where they walk, up where they run, up where they stay all day in the sun.
It's the story of Ariel, a beautiful young mermaid who wants to become human.
He's very handsome, isn't he?
I don't know, he looks kind of hairy and slobbery to me.
Not that one, the other one.
And she'll strike a bargain with a powerful sea witch
Have we got a deal?
to make her dream come true.
What I want from you is your voice.
My voice?
You've got it, sweet cakes.
Ariel's been turned into a human.
Have you lost your senses completely? The human world, it's a mess.
Now, The Little Mermaid is exploring the mysteries of her strange new world.
What's your name? What's wrong? You can't speak?
But to regain her voice, the sea witch's spell must be broken.
Move it! We got an emergency here!
Broken by the kiss of true love. It's Walt Disney Pictures' 28th full-length animated motion picture, featuring dozens of delightful new Disney characters and 7 magical new songs.
Sha-la-la-la-la-la, don't stop now. Don't try to hide it how you wanna kiss me, girl.
This holiday season, share the wonder and magic of a very special entertainment event. A fantastic adventure above the waves and under the sea.
Under the sea. Under the sea. When the sun begins, music to music. Yeah, we in luck here, down in the muck here, under the sea.
Walt Disney Pictures, The Little Mermaid.
So up first is the 1989 classic, The Little Mermaid. Take it away with the history lesson.
Alrighty then. Is that better? No, just kidding. The Little Mermaid is a 1989 American animated film, obviously produced by Walt Disney Feature Animation. And if you don't know the history of it, it's based on the Hans Christian Andersen fairy tale that is also named The Little Mermaid. It was originally released at theaters on November 14th, the best month of the year, 1989, and is actually number 28 in the Walt Disney Animated Classics series and the first of a new era that they have labeled Disney Renaissance. So it starts the Disney Renaissance. During its initial release, Little Mermaid earned $111 million in North America, and to date has earned $211 million in total gross. And after the success of 1988 Disney's Who Framed Roger Rabbit, Little Mermaid is given credit for breathing life back into the animated feature film genre after a string of critical or commercial failures that dated back to the early 80s. It also marked the start of a new era of also like Disney movies that have more of a musical influence and Broadway-type sound. So that's the history for good old Little Mermaid. What do you remember about it, Mike?
I really liked this movie. It was really, really fun. I don't have a specific memory of seeing it. I remember seeing it with my cousins and over at my aunt and uncle's house a lot, but I don't have like a specific memory of seeing it. It's not like Robin Hood where, I was at my aunt's house eating Charleston chews. But I do remember watching this one a lot when it came out. I don't think I saw it in theaters. Overall, I really liked it when I first saw it.
Yeah, I think I'm not 100% sure because I don't remember when I was 8 as much as maybe I should. I'm guessing I didn't see this one in the theater, but I must have seen it really soon afterwards. But my biggest memory as far as the era when this came out was my sister, who's actually a couple years older than me. She was in chorus and all that, and choir and whatnot in school, and I remember one time she must have been in middle school, so I must have been like 4th grade or something like that, and they did a production where they were doing songs from all the different Disney movies. And I remember the concert getting over, and we only lived like 2 blocks from the high school, and so we walked there because it was during nice weather. And I remember walking home and just her and I both being like in the middle of the street singing Little Mermaid songs like as loud as we could. It's a small town thing, I guess, but I just remember being like almost dancing in the street and singing Little Mermaid songs like I was in the damn movie or something. But it was fun. And
What about you, Tarah?
Oh, when I first saw this film, I saw it at my cousin's house, and we watched it together, and I was about, I think, 4 or 5 years old. And it was just, I loved this film so much. I remember Sebastian and, of course, Ariel, and I loved Ariel because I loved princesses, and I still love princesses. So I just remember that. I remember the songs. The songs were just amazing and memorable, and the storyline. And Ursula scared the crap out of me. So she still scares the crap out of me. But
yeah,
that's basically what I remember. And her dad also kind of scared me a little bit, just a little bit.
King Triton.
Yeah, the one scene where he like blows up everything in her little treasure area.
Yeah, that was pretty intense.
Yeah.
That was so mean. I was like crying.
Traumatized at an early
Yeah,
age.
it traumatized me. Yeah, it did. I would fast forward that. I don't want to see Ariel's stuff get blown up.
Yeah. I agree with you though, Ursula was definitely a very good character as far as being a bad character. You didn't like her very much. I mean, I think they did a real good job making her so unlikable.
Yeah, I hated her. She's disgusting.
How do you really feel?
That's how I feel. Don't like her. She's like my least favorite Disney villain.
Least favorite?
Yeah, like I
can see that.
Like, I don't like her. Like, I have a favorite villain, but it's not her.
I'm going to have to make another list. No, I'm just kidding. Mike, what are some of your favorite or least favorite characters in this one?
I like Sebastian when he's actually on Ariel's side. I can't stand him when he's got something stuck up his crab shell.
Nice.
You know.
Got an ego.
I really couldn't stand the singing in the very beginning with all the sisters.
Yeah.
I didn't care for that. I like King Triton. I like, or Triton. I like, Flounder. I like Scuttle, simply for the fact that it's Buddy frickin' Hackett.
Yeah. Definitely a cool person to have voice that character.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I can see that. I don't... The sisters almost, to me, weren't even in this. I don't even consider them in this movie. Yeah. So it's like, whatever.
I agree with you there.
But I think it's easily, the most likable characters in this one, besides the obvious Ariel. For me, I like Prince Eric in this one more than I do in anything else he's in, even though he doesn't have that big of a part. I just kind of thought he was cool when I was younger. But Sebastian almost steals the movie on this one.
Yeah.
Oh, that's true.
He's just the coolest. He just adds he just adds something, and the combination of him and Flounder are just pretty cool.
Yeah. I was half expecting Prince Eric to sprout web shooters and go web slinging all over the damn place because Christopher Daniel Barnes, who voiced Spider-Man in '94, voices Eric.
Yeah, and we haven't mentioned in a lot of the other ones, but Samuel E. Wright is Sebastian, Pat Carroll, Ursula, couple other ones that you've probably heard of. Edie McClurg, who's done a lot of on-screen work. Carlotta the Maid. Renee Auberjonas. I don't have a darn clue how to say that guy's name, but I remember him from...
That's about right, I
remember
think.
him from Deep Space Nine.
Yeah, that's about right, I think.
He's the chef. Patty Edwards is Flotsam and Jetsam. And, of course, Frank Welker plays the dog. But I did want to bring up Jodie Benson because it's kind of an interesting story. She actually grew up about a town away from me, and she went to high school about 5 minutes from where I live right now, and I actually knew someone that babysat her when she was a kid. So she's kind of like the little hometown person or whatever, I guess, around here, but she's definitely very cool.
Yeah. It was extremely funny to me that she went from playing Ariel to playing Barbie in Toy Story 2 and 3.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
It's kind of like Michael Keaton going from Batman to playing a girl's toy, Ken.
Yeah.
I'm not a girl's toy. Yes, you are.
Yeah,
Just deal with it.
You actually are, Ken. Sorry to break it to you.
And of course, she also appeared as Lady in the second Lady and the Tramp movie.
Yep.
Which we've already covered, so.
Yep.
But yeah, it's a pretty good voice cast. It's a little different. It's not your typical Disney voices at this point. I mean, it was kind of like an all-new start for them with this movie, so you don't really have any of the old, classic Disney voices in this one.
I have to argue with your history lesson, and I know it's Wikipedia information and all that, but technically, the film before this, which we covered way back in episode 34, actually started the Disney Renaissance with all new cast and all, not normally Disney regulars, which was Oliver and Company.
I disagree.
Because you had, huh?
I disagree.
What do you mean you disagree?
I don't think it started because it's not the same type of movie. It's a different look.
No. I'm not talking about the same type of movie. I'm talking about just as far as the voice cast.
Well, yeah, maybe for the voice cast, but as far as the Disney Renaissance is supposed to consist of this specific type of look and the emphasis back on music and that type of thing, which, Oliver and Company was kind of a test for that.
Right, but what I'm saying is as far as the voice cast and stuff, that was the film that really launched Disney past the classic, voice actors of Thor Ravenscroft and people that they used to always use in the older films. That's what I'm saying is that technically it's Oliver and Company.
Putting Oliver and Company in the same breath as Little Mermaid and Lion King, Aladdin, and Beauty and the Beast. That's my problem.
Well, because Oliver and Company is still really good.
Well, it's still good, but it's not like these movies at all.
Well, but it's not bad. It's not, Snow White and the Seven Midgets.
I know, to me it's like apples and oranges, though.
Well, anyway,
it's not about being bad or being good. It's just it's a totally different type of movie. Just my opinion. I agree that the Disney Renaissance starts with Little Mermaid.
Whatever.
Can't be a podcast without us arguing about something.
No. You guys have to argue or else there's no comedy.
And I don't know if you're, maybe a very good ear, you might be able to hear a couple of the additional voices that show up. Tim Curry and Mark Hamill and Hamilton Camp show up as some of the additional voices of not named characters. I don't know which ones they are, but you'd think you'd be able to at least pick out Tim Curry. But I never knew he voiced even the additional voices, so that's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Are you all right there, Mike?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Did I destroy something?
No.
Okay.
No, Jamie in the chat says he loves Snow White and the Seven Midgets. I was giving him a thumbs down on camera.
Oh. Snow White and the Seven Midgets.
Yes. Anyways, what about you, Tarah? What are your favorite characters?
Favorite characters? Definitely Ariel, Sebastian, and I love Eric.
Yeah.
So those are my top three. I honestly, but Sebastian, he adds so much humor.
Yeah, he does.
And he just really like out of all of the characters, he is the most memorable one to me from that film. Mm-hmm. All I remember watching that film is a crab, and that's it. A red crab. So,
and a cool voice.
The cool
and I think
accent, Mon.
Yeah.
And I think what really helps the fact that Sebastian brings a lot of the humor to it is once we get to the palace, is it a palace? I forget. It is no, seriously, it is a palace, right?
As far as what do you?
It is a palace.
As far as Eric's house, it's a palace,
castle.
right?
Yeah, castle.
Yeah, well, no, I know he's a prince, but I'm not saying it would be a shack, but I'm just saying
it's a castle, yeah.
I couldn't remember which was which. But anyway, when we get to the setting of being on Eric's palace and all that stuff, what Sebastian adds to the humor is the whole thing of the Chef Louis going after him.
Yeah. I can't stand that chef, though. I'm so mad at him. Let that crab go, buddy. You can only eat things that are not talking in the movie.
So, have we already gone through favorite and least favorites?
Yeah, obviously Ursula. Obviously for me.
Yeah. I didn't really care for the eels either. I could give two craps less about them.
Oh, the eels.
And I'll go ahead and point this out now. I'm so glad the eels in Ariel's beginning did not talk.
Oh, thank God.
Although Patty Edwards is pretty cool. The voice.
Well, no. I'm not saying I didn't like the voices. it didn't even sound like a real voice to me for both of them. It sounded like, someone's voice put to Soundwave's vocoder. Seriously.
Yeah, I can get that. No, I didn't like any of the bad characters, but obviously we're not supposed to like them, so it's kind of hard to. But yeah, I'm with both of you. I didn't like Ursula or the eels.
Yeah. So getting into some.
The eels are just they're so stupid.
Yeah.
Like, I just don't see a point for them. Like, yeah, they're her henchmen. I get that, but they're just I don't like them. Like, if they weren't in the movie, I wouldn't care. I wouldn't notice.
Yeah.
Like they're like the lame version of Pain and Panic from Hercules. Okay, at least Pain and Panic were funny.
I know. I don't think Kevin can comment because I don't think he's seen Hercules.
Nope.
I will point out, since we're still on the cast for this movie, I'll point it out here that I prefer, because Little Mermaid 2, Flounder, you really can't count him as a young fish because he's grown up in Little Mermaid 2, and it's Cam Clark voicing him there as the adult type of Flounder. But as far as this movie and the third movie, between the two, I would assume that they are children that are voicing him. Yep. I prefer this one.
Jason Marin, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The other one, it's got a whole different attitude to him. It's almost like it's not even the same character.
Yeah.
As far as the way I see it, and the guy that does it in the next one, or in the third one that you're talking about, is Parker Goris. But yeah, they're both kids.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I prefer the Jason Marin voice.
Yeah, it just seems like two different characters.
I agree with you. I don't like the Flounder number 2 at all.
No, not number 2, number 3.
Number 3?
Number 2 was Cam Clark.
Yeah, number 3, I felt so disconnected from that character.
Yeah.
Just in a way, I kind of did.
Well, that's another thing that's interesting, obviously, about some of these Disney ones. I mean, like all the Disney ones, their sequels usually don't have a majority of the same cast. Usually they've switched a bunch of people over, so it always makes it interesting as far as which versions of the certain characters you like better.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's pretty interesting. I'm going to make some more comments about some of the other characters when we get to the second and third movie, because I have some problems with some of the other replacements, and some of them people might not be happy with me with. But
oh, too bad.
Yes. So getting into some behind the voice shit. Yes, go to behindthevoiceactors.com.
Thank you.
Yeah. Anyway, getting to some behind the scenes stuff. Tarah, why don't you take that first little blurb about the story development?
Sure thing. The Little Mermaid was originally planned as part of one of Walt Disney's earliest feature films, a proposed package film featuring vignettes of Hans Christian Andersen's tales. Development started soon after Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs in the late 1930s, but was put on hold due to various circumstances.
Yeah, this movie has a pretty interesting history, actually.
Yeah.
I mean, it goes all the way back to the very beginning of Disney, and it took them basically 50, almost 60 years before they finally had a finished product.
Yes.
I'm so glad they did take that.
But you know what?
Because I guarantee you, if it was The Little Mermaid that came first and it was Snow White that came 60 years later, I guarantee you we would be bashing on The Little Mermaid.
Yeah, I'm glad.
To be honest with you, Little Mermaid, the Hans Christian Andersen version, it's so much different than the Disney version.
Yeah.
And
I think we're going to get into a little bit of it later as far as some of the main differences, but yeah, it's definitely a darker tale.
Well, a lot of the Grimm's fairy tales and stuff like that are dark. They're not they weren't meant to entertain children or
Right. So
yeah.
Basically, we have it put on hold in the 30s, and then it comes back up in a discussion in the 80s, around in 1985. They basically presented a 2-page draft of the movie to Michael Eisner, who most people should be aware of who that guy is, and Jeffrey Katzenberg, and they basically passed on the project because at the time they had just done the live-action movie Splash, and they were working on the sequel to it. So they figured, we can't do Little Mermaid because we already did some mermaid stories. But actually the next day they changed their mind and greenlit the idea for the development along with Oliver and Company. So basically that's where it kind of started gaining a little momentum as far as that. And they did make they came across the actual original stuff that was done back in the 1930s, kind of some of the ideas there, and they made the same changes that those people did in the 30s to Hans Christian Andersen's story. So they kind of did some of the same ideas that they had back in the 30s, but obviously with a completely different era, you're going to get a lot of different results.
Yeah.
So, after that, they expand it, and they get a full script almost, but then it gets shelved again because Disney wants to focus their attention on both Who Framed Roger Rabbit and Oliver and Company, because they want to see if Oliver and Company can kind of it's kind of a test to see if they start putting music back in the Disney movies, how it will react, how the audiences will react to it. So they kind of wanted to get those two out of the way before they went back to Little Mermaid. So it's like the second or third time that it's gotten either shut down or shelved.
Oh, poor Little Mermaid.
Yeah, and then the last thing I'll say as far as the history goes there, in 1987, that's when Howard Ashman became involved, and he is the greatest thing to ever happen to Disney, maybe. And he's the one that does the music. So he was asked to contribute to the music, and he actually decided to change everything. He said, well, can we change the crab, because it was first going to be an English butler crab named Clarence. And he said, can we change it to a Jamaican, Rastafarian crab, and can we shift the music style instead of, anything British like some of the other Disney movies, can we change it to more of this Jamaican feel? And, that's kind of, in my opinion, what made Little Mermaid what it was.
Oh, definitely.
I'm sorry, I have to put this in here. Who be jamming now? You be jamming now.
Jammin'.
The good old Rastafarian.
Jammin'.
Oh.
Yeah, and
the good old Rastafarian from Cars Tunes.
And Howard Ashman brought in along with him Alan Menken, and those, that's obviously the same team that has done Lion King and Aladdin and, all of those movies. And they had originally worked on the Little Shop of Horrors off-Broadway stage musical, so that's kind of where they met up. So, at long last, after Oliver finally is done, Disney finally turned its attention to Little Mermaid, and thank God we finally got one of the best Disney films of all time. There, I'm done with my spiel.
As far as the character of Ariel, the character's body type and personality were based upon that of Alyssa Milano. Wow. And then starring on TV's Who's the Boss, the effect of her hair underwater was based on footage of Sally Ride when she was in space.
Yeah. Another interesting one for Ursula.
Oh, man.
Oh, God.
Right.
The design of the villainous Ursula the Sea Witch was based upon the drag performer Divine. Pat Carroll was not Clements and Musker's first choice to voice Ursula. The original script had been written with B. Arthur of the Disney-owned TV series The Golden Girls in mind. Oh, God. I cannot see. I'm sorry. I cannot see Dorothy being Ursula.
No.
I can see it.
I
I'd be
can't.
entertained.
Maybe if it was based off her Maude character and not Dorothy.
Yeah.
Maybe if it was Maude and not the Dorothy character. But I cannot. Oh my God!
It's almost like Ursula went through the same thing the whole movie did. I mean, you have B. Arthur, and then she turns it down, and then you have all these other people, including Roseanne. But eventually, actually, Elaine Stritch is her name, is the person who gets cast, and then ends up that she doesn't get along with Ashman, so she gets replaced, and we end up with Pat Carroll. So it's almost like the same thing as a movie. You get all these different attempts at the person until you finally end up with who you get.
That's how film business works.
Yep. Oh, yeah. Another thing interesting, at least something I find.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Oh, wow. We so need to interview her.
Oh, God, I know what you're talking about. But it's coming up with this next little bit here, because another interesting thing and why this is kind of a renaissance for Disney is because for the first time in a long time they start going off of real actors and actresses to get the motion reference, like we've talked about in a few previous episodes. They had gone away from this for a while, and they started doing it again here. And that's when you have Jodie Benson coming in to be the motion capture for Ariel, and one of Mike's favorite, Sherry Stoner, coming in to play some of the live action where they can do the motion capture off of.
Yeah, they've got Slappy Squirrel as Ariel. Oh my God, we so need to get an interview with Sherry Stoner now.
And just some other behind the scenes stuff. The more money and resources is dedicated to Mermaid than any other Disney animated film previous to this, basically, or at least through the 80s and the 70s when they weren't really caring as much about their movies. And I found it interesting. most special effects in an animated Disney feature is Fantasia. So I thought that was pretty interesting. And interesting note, too, that there is some computer animation in this film, which I did not know that there was some CG effects in it. I did not know that until actually, like, today. And they say that over 1 million bubbles were drawn for this film because they insisted that every bubble be hand-drawn.
Wow.
Instead of being, like Xerox or whatever the other methods are. Not Xerox, but you know what I'm talking about.
So why don't you go into getting into the actual show? Why don't you give us the 5-minute plot synopsis there, Kevin?
Basically you have Ariel, who's a teenager, and she's not satisfied with her life and all the, things that she's ordered to do by her father, King Triton, and whatnot, and she longs to be, part of the human world, hence the song, Part of Your World. And then you have Sebastian the crab introduced, and he's, supposed to watch over Ariel and make sure that she doesn't ever, surface again and try to become part of the human world. But eventually Ariel does see Prince Eric when she surfaces, falls in love with him, and, just heightens her amount of desire to become part of that human world. And basically that turns into Ariel being the lovesick, desperately in love teenager and willing to do anything to become human so that she can pursue Prince Eric, which, making a long story short, she makes a deal with the devil, or Ursula, so that she can become human. And the deal is that within 3 days, Ariel must receive the kiss of true love from Eric. Otherwise, she'll transform back into a mermaid and belong to Ursula. But the catch is that in order to become the human for this time, she has to give up her voice, her beautiful singing voice, etc., which is stored in the shell by Ursula. So the rest of the movie is basically Ariel trying to get Eric to kiss her, and fall in love, etc. We get the Kiss the Girl song, and all that nonsense. And eventually you have this all-out battle on the ship there where Ursula is trying to, fight so that she can avoid Ariel kissing Eric. She becomes a human at one point named Vanessa. She does, everything she can as far as with the eels and other stuff to try to make sure that the kiss never happens. But eventually, skipping a bunch of stuff, Eric kisses Ariel, and basically everything turns out all right. I'm skipping the ending, but we'll get into that. My 5 seconds is up.
I didn't say 5 seconds. I said 5 minutes. But...
I didn't want to go 5 minutes.
Yeah. So, due to her death, Ursula's power breaks, causing all the polyps in Ursula's garden, including Triton, who would have regained his reign, to revert back to their original form. Later, after seeing Ariel truly loves Eric, and then he also saved her in the ocean. In the process, Triton willingly changes her from a mermaid to a human, permanently using his trident, where she reconciles with Eric once more. An unspecified amount of time later, Ariel and Eric have their wedding in a ship where both humans and more people could attend before sailing away afterwards to be happily married. Yay. Alright. Plot-wise.
I only have one little nitpicky thing, but it's not with this one. Well, it's not really as much in this one, but... it's something they do a lot better in this one.
Yeah.
As far as humans not being able to breathe for hours underwater. Because, this one, they can't. In the sequels, apparently humans gain the ability to breathe underwater pretty easily. I'll bring that up again when we get to the third one, or the second one, or whatever one it was, where she's just down there forever, just breathing. I'm like, really?
Or who is? Ariel?
Oh, Melody.
She got turned back into a mermaid.
No, but at one point she's human before that, and she's just sitting down there with the bad person, and she's just breathing, no problem.
Oh,
it wasn't good.
Well, she's half fish.
It's her genes.
It's in her DNA. Okay.
Yeah, but a lot of there's not very many. I don't have many plot problems with this one.
I don't either.
I mean, it seems like it flows pretty well. The music's great, and it's not maybe as smooth a transition in the music as like in Robin Hood or whatever, but it doesn't bother me. It doesn't seem like you say in some that they're breaking into a musical number. You don't get that feeling really from it too much.
Mm-hmm.
I think it goes pretty well. I mean, I guess if you're just completely anti-love stories, you might have problems with it, but get over it.
I'll agree with you on that. 100%.
Like I said, the only thing I really had a problem with was like the first number in the beginning with all of the sisters, because I mean, they don't, obviously the story is about Ariel and they don't really focus on the sisters, but it would have been nice to have gotten a little bit something extra, even if it was like a DVD special feature or something like that, just to, you know, give us more info on the sisters, even though I know that the main story here is about Ariel and all that.
I'm actually glad they didn't, because when they do introduce the sisters later on, I hate them. But that's another story.
Yeah, that's another story. I don't have any problems with this one either, really. My problem will come later when we get to some of the legacy stuff.
Uh-oh. Mike has a problem. Everybody,
I don't have a problem. I just find it very funny. Okay. That's all. Anyways, what about you, Tarah?
You know what? This plot, it was so engaging, and I really got into it. I really just, I loved the story. It's a great love story. It had a great plot, and when I first watched it, I was really drawn to it, and still, even now, when I watch it, I'm still drawn into that world.
Yeah.
And I really get a sense of who the character is. I really get a sense of the story and how she feels. Like, I think Disney did a really fantastic job with telling the story. And there's so many other stories in there besides, her wanting to be a human so she can marry, Eric. But it's more a tale, I think, to me, of growing up and being independent.
Yeah.
Is what I got. True. From that, because she's 16, and
breaking away from the father's control.
Yeah, when I hit 16, I really understood what she was going through. So even at almost 20, I still understand it.
Well, and I think that's the reason why this one appeals to so many different age groups too, is because you have the fun, like Sebastian and Flounder are gonna be entertaining for the younger ages. Mm-hmm. That's gonna fulfill, all the need for your younger audience, and they're gonna think that's funny. The music is gonna entertain just about I've never heard of anybody that doesn't like the music in this one.
Yeah.
So, that's all ages, but you have this teenage thing with her breaking free and, falling in love for the first time, which should speak to most teenagers. But I think adults can get it too as just like a reflection back on things, or dealing with, from Triton's angle, as far as dealing with your kids.
Yeah, being a parent.
So, I think a lot of different ages can find something that they can connect with in this one. What are some of your guys' favorite or least favorite parts in the movie?
Well, like I said before, I didn't care for Flotsam and Jetsam or whatever. I didn't care for the eels whatsoever. They're useless, I think. The favorite part would probably have to be after I know this is bad, but after she loses her voice and she's trying to get Eric to do all this stuff and guess her name and trying to explain to him. I thought that was really funny. I thought anything that came out of Scuttle's mouth was funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about you, Kevin?
I'm going to let Tarah go first.
Oh, thank you. All right. Favorite part of the movie is when she, right after, Ursula is killed or whatever, and she's watching Eric on the beach again, and her dad grants her wish and turns her into a human, and she comes out of the water, and they spin and they kiss. Like, I loved that scene. It was so heartwarming to me, and I'm a sucker for like romance, so I loved it. It was just a great scene. Least favorite scene, I think I touched on this a little bit earlier, but now since we're talking about least favorite scenes, I can say I hate the scene where her dad destroys her collection of human things.
Yeah, that's terrible.
I can totally relate to that. It's like having like a prized collection of something and someone just going in and just ruining it.
I think Mike can relate to that even better.
It's like
having his toys taken away.
Yeah, it's like the same thing like today, even in our society with some kids having like, comic book collection or whatever collection they're into, and people thinking it's weird or that's not right.
Well, yeah, and I think it's something, too, where it's like where a parent or an adult does something where they don't quite get or they don't quite understand the effects of what they just did. like they don't quite understand how much meaning the stuff had for the person, or how traumatic that whatever they did could be on that person. It's they might be able to start understanding it later, but it was like something where an adult does something kind of in the heat of the moment, not realizing what kind of effect it's going to have on the child. But that's kind of how.
That's exactly true. Like the thing, what people understand is some people just don't understand why some people are into what they're into.
Yeah.
Like, you should respect that, and we should praise people for liking things that are different. We shouldn't be, trying to make them stop that. We should be encouraging it, if anything.
Yeah. I think for the first time ever, I think my favorite part of the movie is actually going to be completely related to the music, because when she sings Part of Your World, like, and I know it's at the beginning of the movie, but as soon as that song is sung, I was hooked for the entire movie.
Yeah.
Like, as soon as Part of Your World happens, I could relate to it. I loved her voice, and I was just like, I got to see the rest of this to see if she sings again, to see, if it's going to be as cool as this. And my other favorite part is probably the Kiss the Girl scene, where, they're trying to do it, and what's, the attempts, what's supposed to be happening, and you just keep seeing things interfere with it. So both my favorite moments are related to the songs in this one, and my least favorite, I'm actually going to go with the ending. From the time where Ursula becomes like Gigantor to the end of the movie is probably the only part of my experience that wasn't as magical as the rest of it. Part of it was just because Ursula scared me, I think, and she was humongous and ugly. But that kind of, I don't know, that's the one part maybe that I didn't like as much. I mean, it's not bad. I'm not saying it's a bad part, but if I had to pick one part that was my least favorite, I guess it would be that one.
Yeah, oh my god, that one scene where she's like a gigantic sea monster. Mm-hmm. Oh, that definitely scared me and left a lasting impression on me.
Yeah.
It was pretty well done, though, in animation.
Oh, it was very well done in the animation of it, yeah. Why don't we get into some trivia, Kevin?
All right. Like I said before, I find this interesting because I guess I'm a history person, but the insistence that I mentioned before of them having to basically hand draw every bubble in the film, which is millions of bubbles, they actually farm that out to a firm in Beijing. Just happened that this is around the same time where we had the student uprising in Beijing, the Tiananmen Square, whatever you want to call it. And basically it almost delayed the entire production because 1/3 of the finished cell artwork was in a building that was a few blocks away from Tiananmen Square when all the violence broke out. So they were almost without some of their footage that they needed for the movie. So it would have been fitting, I guess, since it had been delayed since 1930 or whatever, that it got delayed again. But luckily it didn't. I still have not seen this, but I'm going to apparently have to go back and like slow-mo the opening scene where King Triton arrives in the arena. Because apparently you can see Mickey Mouse, Goofy, Donald Duck, and Kermit the Frog in the crowd.
Oh my god, I had no idea about that.
Says they're in a crowd of sea people as mermen when he passes over them. So like I said, I'm gonna have to go back because I want to see that.
You should screenshot that and put it like on Twitter or something.
There we go. I'll see if I can find it and screen cap it. And that's just a few of the things. We're gonna get to some more things to look for in a second, but I find this one interesting. Ben Wright, who I mentioned, was one of the voice actors. This is his final film. He was the voice of Grimsby, the butler. Apparently the people involved in this film from Disney had no idea that he had been the voice of Roger in 101 Dalmatians. Like, they cast him for this part not even realizing that he had worked for them before.
Well, what? Really?
Yeah, he had to tell them that he had been in 101 Dalmatians.
They're like, oh, you were in 101 Dalmatians?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Wait, you already worked for us? Oh.
They're
okay.
like, no, anymore. We don't hire people that are in other films. No, I'm just kidding. This one has both Hidden Mickeys and Castle Thunder. Castle Thunder can be heard a few times during the storm that wrecks Eric's ship in the beginning. It's also briefly heard for a second during the middle of the second storm when Ursula becomes gigantic and powerful. It's the last Disney movie to have Castle Thunder. So if you've been one that's looked out for the different Castle Thunder, this is the last time you hear it. So that's kind of sad. Anyway, Ariel was deliberately made a redhead because they didn't want her to look that much like Daryl Hannah's character in Splash. So they were trying to go.
I have a huge problem with this next one.
Part of Your World was actually, and that's got to be, I mean, it's so hard to pick a favorite song in this movie, but this is an epic song. Part of Your World was almost cut from the movie.
No.
Jeffrey Katzenberg felt it was boring, as well as being too far over the heads of the children from whom it was intended. And at a test screening, the children were restless during the song. In particular, one child that sat in front of Katzenberg spilled his popcorn and apparently was more interested in picking it up than watching the sequence, so he almost cut the song from the movie. Thank God he didn't.
Oh, I'm so glad they didn't, because that... Oh.
First of all, we need to mention that this test screening was without animation.
Mm-hmm.
Without finished animation.
Well, it didn't have, it had unfinished animation is what I mean, right, yeah. So, I'm sorry, anytime I see anything that's a storyboard or only has a little bit of music or only has a little bit of voicing, I get restless too watching that crap.
Of course.
I mean, I understand it's part of the process, and I don't mean to say that storyboarding is crap. I mean, just watching unfinished stuff, no.
Well, yeah, of course that would happen.
Yeah, the part that doesn't fit with me is how can any human being hear that song and be like, no, this isn't a good one? Like,
oh man,
you hear her singing this song, and I don't care what movie it is, put it in there. Like, find a way to make that work. That's a great song.
I'm glad they kept it, because that would have sucked.
Yeah. Our hidden Mickey for this movie, which I always feel like I'm making some type of drug reference when I say hidden Mickey or some
hidden
type
Mickey
of reference or something like that. Anyway, there's one in the scroll that Ursula gets Ariel to sign. It's in the middle of the words when it pans over the scroll from top to bottom. And there's also apparently one in the scene where the animals are trying to break up the wedding. Right as the seals are jumping onto the deck of the boat from the ocean, there's a woman with black hair and a red gown with her back to the camera, and the shape of her hair clearly outlines a Mickey head until she turns sideways. So apparently there's two different Mickeys you can look for. I don't know if they were both intentional. That one sounds a little bit rinky-dink, but anyway. Another interesting cast trivia note, that apparently scheduling conflicts with Star Trek The Next Generation forced Patrick Stewart to turn down the role of King Triton.
And I love Patrick Stewart, don't get me wrong, but I'm so glad he turned it down.
I would have loved him in this role.
I don't think he would have fit, because I'm so used to hearing Kenneth Mars' voice for King Triton. When I heard, and we'll get to this later, but when I heard Darkwing Duck. When I heard Jim Cummings' voice for Triton in the prequel movie, I was like, this doesn't fit with me. It's not that I think that Cummings' version was bad of Triton in the prequel, but it wasn't Triton to me.
No, it was terrible. It was terrible casting. I'm sorry. Jim Cummings is a great voice actor, but to cast him as King Triton was one of the worst Disney sequel casting things I've ever seen. Because he doesn't even try to change. He's one of those guys that has a great voice, and he can change it, but he did nothing to try to change King Triton's voice from his other voices. I'm sorry. It just did not fit, like you said. Terrible.
Yeah.
Sorry. The last thing, basically in the original Hans Christian Andersen story, Ariel does not turn back into a mermaid at the end. When the sun rises on the last day, she turns to foam and dies. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's what I was getting to earlier.
I'm sorry. I can't even say that without laughing.
I know.
Later editions, including her becoming a daughter of the air and rising to heaven. So
I have that book. I have the book where she does die.
Mike, being someone that was watching Transformers when Prime dies, can you imagine putting all these kids in 1989 through this entire Disney movie and then having her turn to foam and die at the end?
Oh my God!
It would have been an outcry.
And you know what? You know what happened after that? When they made Lion King, they would have made Mufasa just have a heart attack and get better, or go into a coma or something like. Yeah.
Would have pulled a Duke.
Well,
that gets that reference.
You know what? When I read the story, like the original story, she's supposed to kill the prince, so she can turn back into a mermaid because, she makes the whole deal with the sea witch and she turns into human, blah blah blah, and the prince ends up marrying another girl. So her sisters go to the sea witch, they sell their hair to the sea witch and get the knife, and they say, kill the prince, and then you'll turn back into a mermaid. So she doesn't, and she can't do it. So she throws the knife into the sea, and then she throws herself overboard. And then she doesn't die. She doesn't turn to foam. Because she did that, she gets to be like what they're saying, like a daughter of the air. She gets to go and, be like.
That was after they edited it that she turned into foam the first time.
Yeah, that was another version, but the version I read was that she does become like a daughter of the air, and she gets to go and go do good deeds because she saved someone's life.
Do you know what this does? This just proves that all the people that think we're more violent these days than any other time are wrong. Like, kids are not more violent these days, dang it. Look at the stories you guys used to write in the 30s and 20s and 40s.
Look at Snow White and the Seven Midgets. We already looked at that. I want everybody, after we finish this episode of ToonCast recording, I want everybody to go over to the website, look for ToonCast, episode 29, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Listen to that episode. There is so much violence and so many things wrong with that movie.
But look at all the drug references and the violence and all that stuff that we got in the early Disney movies.
Oh, man.
And they're supposed to be the best movies ever, and now we get these things that have none of that, but apparently it's turned us all into a bunch of violent, I don't know. It's so stupid. Sorry.
Well, only recently did I go back and go see the origins of these fairy tales and see how they were really, told, how they really happens.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, no wonder Disney didn't do this. You don't want to have kids in the audience crying and having nightmares and suing Disney for, traumatic experiences or whatnot.
Yes. Yeah. So, getting into the music segment here, Little Mermaid was considered by some the film that brought Broadway into cartoons. Alan Menken wrote the Academy Award-winning score and collaborated with Howard Ashman on the songs. For me, I think my favorite songs are Part of Your World and Under the Sea.
Yeah.
Was the singing voice for Ursula the same as the voice actress?
I believe so, yeah.
I didn't like that song. For Unfortunate Souls.
I don't think you're supposed to.
No, I know, but I mean, I didn't like the way it was sung. I didn't like the voice that was singing it, so...
Yeah. I just have a special, Part of Your World's the one that hooked it for me. I realize that Under the Sea is the one that gets all the acclaim and all the, wins all the awards and stuff like that, but Part of Your World hooked it for me, and I think one of my favorite songs, I just have a soft spot for Kiss the Girl. That's just a great song. Just the way it opens up, and they're kind of floating through, you know what I mean? And Sebastian opens up with the singing. It's just great.
Yeah. What about you, Tarah?
Oh, definitely Under the Sea, Part of Your World, and Kiss the Girl.
My least favorite song is Daughters of Triton.
Oh. The opening song?
No, Fathoms Below is the opening song with the sailors, but then it goes to the Daughters of Triton, and I do not like hearing them sing.
Oh, that song was awful.
Yeah.
I wanted to, put cotton in my ears so I didn't have to listen to that.
Yeah, but just as far as the music goes, this movie is, I don't know, if you take the music out of this movie, it's terrible, I think.
Definitely. The music made the film.
Yeah, the music made the film, and I'm so glad that it got the reception that it did so that we could get stuff like Aladdin and Lion King, etc., Beauty and the Beast to follow it. I love this era of Disney, and it's because of the music. Pure and simple.
Yes. So getting into the reception, and I'm going to take this first little part because, I've got a nice little thing to start this off. But, The Little Mermaid received positive reviews on the Rotten Tomatoes based on 52 reviews collected. The film has overall approval rating of 90% based on various reviews collected since 1989 release. Stop the presses.
Uh-oh.
Roger Ebert, film critic for the Chicago Sun-Times, was enthusiastic about the film and wrote that The Little Mermaid is a jolly and inventive animated fantasy, a movie that's so creative and so much fun it deserves comparison with the best Disney work of the past. Ebert also commented positively on the character of Ariel, stating, Ariel is a fully realized female character who thinks and acts independently, even rebelliously, instead of hanging around passively while the fates decide her destiny. Holy crap! The old man actually gave something a good review.
That you like. He gives good reviews, just not to movies you like. No, but he got that one right. This is what I've been saying for a couple episodes now. These films not only compare to the best Disney work of the past, in my opinion, they're the best Disney work ever. Like, this outshines, and it's kind of going to the whole, there's the princess Disney movies or whatever that you want to call, Snow White, Cinderella, Sleeping Beauty, and you throw Little Mermaid in there as one of the modern ones, and then there was obviously some after that. In my opinion, this is the best Disney princess movie. Like, maybe this one and Beauty and the Beast would be close. I'm not a huge fan of the stuff that comes after as far as like Mulan and Pocahontas, but to me, this Little Mermaid is better than Sleeping Beauty, Cinderella, or Snow White, in my opinion.
Definitely, I agree with you there.
Everything's better than Snow White.
Well, I know, I'm just
Yes.
better than Cinderella and Sleeping Beauty, too. I think this is the best Disney princess movie of all time.
But again, like we've said so far throughout this first film's reviewing here, two totally, completely different eras. I mean, Snow White aside, Sleeping Beauty and Cinderella are easily the best two out of that era, but they're in that specific era.
Yeah, I'm just comparing all the Disney princess movies.
Right, yeah.
I'll agree.
Okay.
Sleeping Beauty did not do it for me at all.
Yeah. Well, and this one gets good reviews.
Better than Snow White and all that, but yeah.
Better than Snow White. Anything's better than Snow White.
Everybody gives us some good reviews. I hardly anybody ever gives this movie a negative review. I mean, we have good reviews from TV Guide, even though they said it can't compare to the real Disney classics, but they're morons. Even IGN said this is almost a perfect achievement. So apparently they're better at reviewing maybe films than they are cartoon series. I don't know.
Yes.
Yeah.
What were you going to say, Kevin?
So are you all right there?
Yeah. A little shocked, but yeah.
In April of 2008, almost 20 years after the film's initial release, they had Yahoo did a thing where Yahoo users could vote on the top animated films of all time, and Little Mermaid came in at number 14 of the top 30 animated films of all time. They later updated it and it dropped down to number 20 out of 30. But that's still pretty good. And only 3 other traditionally animated Disney films were on the poll above it, and that was Aladdin, Beauty and the Beast, and Lion King, of course. So it gets good reviews. That's the bottom line.
Yep.
That's good.
And besides getting good reviews, it was pretty significant, too, because this is really what ushered in this new era. I know Oliver & Company came first, but this is the one that was the success that let them to continue doing and focusing on animation, because up to this point they'd kind of shied away from animated films. They were more concerned with their, like the the theme parks was the big thing at this point. Live action movies, they were trying to get into that. They were kind of shying away from this. So Little Mermaid doing good was very important for Disney animation.
And I don't argue that. What I'm arguing is that the Oliver & Company cast, the voice cast in Oliver & Company, really started Disney down the path of using newer, not just all of the older voice actors that they had used on all the other previous films.
Yeah, no, I agree. And the staff also increased. It says in 1988 the animated staff was 300 people, and by 99 it's over 2,000. So
that is crazy.
Yeah.
Like, holy crap, there's so many people.
Yeah. And the other thing, like we said before, it reestablished the musical film format for Disney animated films, so thank you for doing that. Which Oliver & Company did a little, too.
At least Disney did something right.
Yeah, they finally did something right.
And they got rid of Michael Eisner and Jeffrey Katzenberg.
They have their moments.
Anyways, getting into the awards here. In January 1990, Little Mermaid earned 3 Academy Award nominations, making it the first Disney animated film to earn an Academy Award nomination since The Rescuers in 1977. The Mermaid soundtrack was certified double platinum by the RIAA in September 1990 for shipments 2 million copies of the soundtrack album, an unheard of feat for an animated film at the time. And to date, the soundtrack has been certified 6 times platinum. That's interesting.
Yeah, so it's not just the movie. The soundtrack did phenomenal.
Yes, why don't you take the awards there, Tarah?
All right, sure thing. The Little Mermaid Academy Award winning for Best Original Song and Best Original Score was repeated by Disney's next 4 films, also in the same era, and that would be Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin, The Lion King, and Pocahontas. And it won a couple of Academy Awards. It won for Best Music Original Score for Under the Sea, and nominated for Best Music Original Song, Kiss the Girl. Won Golden Globes, nominated for Best Motion Picture, Musical or Comedy. It won for Best Original Score, Best Original Song, Under the Sea, and also Kiss the Girl got nominated for Best Original Song. And it won a Grammy Award for the Best Song written specifically for motion picture for television for Under the Sea. Wow.
And cleaned up at the awards that year.
Lots of awards going on here.
When 2 of your songs are nominated in the Best Original Song category, you know you did something right.
And that was a mouthful right there.
Yes, and before we continue this, I would just like to say, I know we are an explicit podcast, but if you do not want to hear about this next section, either turn the episode off or leave the Ustream chat, because
we're gonna tick
there
that
is
one guy off.
controversy.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to tick
There
that one
is
guy
controversy. The close-up of the alleged penis.
I'm sorry, but
Yeah, we're talking about a penis.
most of the controversial, like, sexual or drug innuendos that people try to put in the Disney are crap. Most of them are just big stretches of the imagination. This one, I'm sorry.
Oh, my God.
That is what it looks like.
In the film, King Triton lives in a castle of gold, along with his daughters. The castle is displayed on the artwork for the cover of the Classics VHS cassette. When the film was first released on video, close examination of the artwork, as well as the film, shows an oddly shaped structure on the castle, closely resembling a penis. Disney and the cover designer insist it was an accident, resulting from a late rush job to get the finished cover artwork. The questionable object does not appear on the cover of the second releasing of the film.
I have the version with the penis on it.
Well, and like I said before, most of the Disney stuff is crap. Most of it's people trying to find stuff like the clouds forming the word sex. That's BS.
Yeah.
The dust does form sex.
It is if you want to see that.
If you want to see the word sex.
No, it does.
It actually says SFX, which means sexual effects.
And the thing is that I'm sorry, I do not agree with the theory that there was some pervert at Disney that was trying to insert stuff into every movie like some people say.
No.
It's Jeffrey Katzenberg. Who else?
Like, there's occasional stuff that you could make perverted if you want to. There might have been, this could have been a lot of different things, but unfortunately it does look like a penis.
Oh, my God.
South Park was right. Disney is selling sex to little girls.
And the fact that
Thanks, Jamie.
The only shady part about this one is the reasoning that they gave for it, and the fact that then they do pull all the covers that look like that. They did get sued, actually, in '95 for this and the other scene that we're not going to talk about because that is complete BS, where they're talking about the bishop and the
having an erection during
that one is
that one was just blown out of proportion.
Yeah,
it's his knee.
It's his knee, and someone actually sued Disney in '95, but then they dropped the suit 2 months later. But they actually had to even go back and redo that scene so that you couldn't even see his knee because people are so perverted. But anyway,
because she's like, "Oh, I see an erection." Oh, yeah. Like it couldn't be like his knee or something. Like the guy has really stubby knees. Like.
So it's like the older movies, you could have people like dying and doing drugs. Like in Alice in Wonderland, we could have people like smoking a hookah or whatever, and nobody gives a shit. And now this one, there's some accidental or weird things that you could take out of context and be sexual, and that's like the end of the world.
And now it's like, oh my God, we gotta cover my kid's eyes. I gotta censor this. I gotta.
Like apparently you don't show them any of the other Disney movies.
Yeah, apparently,
in there.
What happened? The 90s come and it's like we gotta cover up everything. We gotta cover our asses here. We can't have anything. Or it's lawsuit.
But regardless of the controversy, it didn't affect the box office.
No. What was the box office, Kevin?
Well, it was kind of interesting because, and this is another Katzenberg blooper here, I guess. But he was reminding the Disney people that Mermaid was a girls' film, so it wouldn't make as much money as Oliver and Company and those types of films. So he was trying to caution them that this isn't going to make as much money as they might hope. But by the time it's all said and done, he actually changed it a little bit later and said, well, he thought it would make about $100 million. Total international box office, $211 million.
Ooh.
It 64% more earnings than Oliver the Company, and it just, like I said, apparently he was wrong with his first initial thing.
It totally kicked Oliver and Company's ass.
It kicked everybody's
Let's just say that. It blew that one right out of the water.
It blew all.
And that's fine. I don't have a problem with that. I recognize Little Mermaid was what set them on the path of doing the newer generation of Disney. But at the same time, Oliver and Company is one of my favorite films. It always will be. And I don't care what anybody says. It's a good movie.
I'm not saying it's a bad movie. No one's saying it's a bad movie. Oliver and Company is fun.
Yes. As far as the home video release here, in a then atypical and controversial move for a new Disney animated film, The Little Mermaid was released on VHS and Laserdisc in May 1990, 8 months after the release of the film. Before Mermaid, only a select number of Disney animated films had been released to home video, as the company was afraid of upsetting its profitable practice of theatrically reissuing each film every 7 years. Mermaid became that year's top-selling title on home video, with over 10 million units sold, including 7 million units in its first month. The success led to future Disney films to be released soon after the end of their theatrical runs, rather than delayed for several years.
See, this is something that none of us of our generation will even understand, I don't think. The old practice that was before we were alive. And obviously because we weren't exposed to it, but the fact that we just take for granted that a movie's out in the theater, and as soon as it's done, within like 6, 7, 8 months, it's going to be out on DVD. Like, that's just how it's done nowadays.
Yeah.
But Disney never did that. They re-released the movie in theater every decade.
7 years.
Yeah, every 7 years or so. And we I don't even think we can kind of fathom what that would be like. So you couldn't get it, on DVD or VHS or whatever, but once a decade you could go see it in the theater again. But
well, see, the thing is, with that kind of with the re-release in theaters and stuff like that, back then, for me, movie-going experiences kind of got sour in 1998. But back then, before 98, but before the new millennium and all that, movie-going experiences were awesome. They were great, and it was fun to go see a Disney movie or whatever. Whereas now, I would rather just, when a movie gets released, I would rather just wait 6 months till it gets on DVD or iTunes or whatever else. So, I know of that experience because I think I went to a reissued or re-release of one of the Disney films at one point. I don't remember which one it was, but I know I went to theaters to see a Disney film when I was younger. So
yeah.
I just have to say this. I agree 100% with you, Mike. Because now every time, a new Disney film comes out, I don't get excited anymore. I'm not.
I haven't gotten excited since Lion King.
and I do. I want all the 90s movies to come back. I want them back.
I got excited for Tangled, but the problem, like I said, it's not so much, for me, it's not so much the movie. It has nothing to do with the actual content of a film. But just going to a theater and having that experience, nowadays, it sucks.
Yeah, it's true.
Well, see, I love doing it, and I'm still.
Well, and that's fine, but then again,
I have had some bad experiences.
To me, I guess to me, it's lost its magic.
Yeah, it is.
I'll go
until there's someone annoying there, and then I lose the magic.
Yeah,
cool.
I'd much rather go see a really good live film. I just saw Black Swan. I'd rather go see that, than go see the new stuff that Disney's putting out.
Well, and I know it would never happen because I guess kids today wouldn't watch it, but I actually am going to agree with one of our Ustream viewers. I wish that I could see cartoons or movies, just a few of them, done in the old animation style. I don't need to see everything in 3D. I don't need to see everything in CGI. I'm fine with a few. Can we get like a retro something? Can I get a look of the olden days at least? I'm not asking for like crappy animation like we had in some things, but there was Little Mermaid's not hard to watch for kids these days, is it? I mean, Lion King and that type of animation, that's not hard for people to watch.
Well, I mean, and that's Disney classic 2D animation. It's not a 3D animated film.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Can't we get just a Disney movie to come out in 2D again? Is that
like
Princess and the Frog did? Even though I could care less about that film, Tangled did, and Tangled looks amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, in the same look as the old ones.
Like,
oh, you mean as far as the design aesthetic?
Yeah.
I don't think so, because I think Disney will go forward with whatever. Obviously, will make them money.
Yeah, it's too hard. It costs too much for them to actually have someone actually paint this.
If I can just interject for 1 second. Okay, it's okay. What I want to say is, you know what, I understand, like, the whole, like, oh, we're in the 21st century, you know, this is technology, we have to do everything on the computer. But honestly, it worked. Like, when you had the hand-painted stuff, or whatever they were doing, it worked. And as one person in our Ustream chat said, it was warmer. You felt more of a connection to it. And, you know, now you don't feel that connection.
Yeah, now it feels too much like, I don't know, it's for me, maybe it's just me because I didn't grow up in it. Maybe kids today have absolutely no problem with it, but maybe they haven't been exposed to the old stuff.
They haven't.
I'm not asking them to show, you know, I can understand that a kid might not be wrapped up in stuff that was made in like 1930 or 1950 because it has even a more dated look, but the stuff that was made in the early 90s doesn't look dated to me.
No, not at all.
I don't know.
As far as the DVD releases for Little Mermaid, there have been a few of them. The only one that really matters, honestly, at this point, is the Platinum Edition DVD, which was released as part of the Little Mermaid Trilogy box set on December 16th, 2008. Unfortunately, that has been sunk back in the vault. But I'm sure you can find it on like Amazon or somewhere like that. So there were several deleted scenes on this, an extended Fathoms Below sequence in which it was revealed that Ursula is Triton's sister. Didn't they mention that in the movie? Didn't they make mention that Ursula was...
I've seen the deleted scene for it, but I don't remember seeing it in the actual like uncut or the original movie.
Oh, okay. An alternate version of the Poor Unfortunate Souls explaining why Ursula was banished by Triton.
Oh, they should have. They should have shown that.
A scene just before the concert in which Sebastian finds out Ariel is missing. Extended scene of Sebastian lost in Eric's castle. That would have been funny.
Yeah.
That was funny. I remember watching this.
That'd be hilarious.
Scenes. Yeah. Sebastian giving additional advice to Ariel at bedtime, and the fight with Ursula to the ending with no dialogue. Oh, a music only... that would be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that'd be interesting to see.
Very interesting. I think what we're going to do for this episode of ToonCast is we're going to save our final thoughts for the entire franchise till the end. So up next, you're going to hear the trailer for the Little Mermaid 2, Return to the Sea.
It all began when one little mermaid dreamed of life on the land. Now the incredible tale continues as Ariel's daughter,
Melody Child. Hey!
dreams of life in the sea.
You know what? Sometimes I even pretend I have fins.
The Little Mermaid 2, Return to the Sea. New special edition. Experience a story unlike any other.
Melody can't know about merpeople or Atlantica.
Oh, this is delicious.
Return to the mystery.
Melody's gone! Melody's gone!
I should have known I couldn't keep Melody from the sea. It's time I trusted her with the truth.
Return to the magic.
Your destiny awaits you.
I'm a mermaid!
Return to the adventure.
What's happening?
Melody!
The Little Mermaid 2, Return to the Sea. Coming soon to new special edition Disney DVD. Only for a limited time.
You're a mermaid?
Up next is the Little Mermaid 2, Return to the Sea. Take it away with the history lesson, sir. Actually, no, Tarah, you take the history lesson this time.
I'm getting axed.
Sure thing. Oh, he just got axed. The Little Mermaid 2, Return to the Sea, is a 2000 Disney animated feature film and direct-to-video sequel of the 1989 animated film, obviously, The Little Mermaid. Directed by Jim Camerad and Brian Smith, the story takes place over a decade after the original film and focuses on Ariel and Eric's daughter, Melody, a human princess who longs to swim in the ocean despite her parents' law that the sea is forbidden to her. Oh no.
For any of you that haven't seen this movie, just watch the first Little Mermaid in Rewind.
Yeah. It's the complete opposite. Ariel's not allowed to go to the surface. Melody's not allowed to go into the sea. Coincidence?
The rest of the movie is the exact same.
Coincidence? I think not.
Except minus the cool music.
Yeah. There's not really cool music in this film at all.
Yeah. Why have I seen this movie twice?
I don't know.
I admit, when I heard Little Mermaid 2 was coming out, I, rushed out to, go rent it from Blockbuster, and I saw it, and I was like, the crap did I just waste an hour and a half of my life watching? I want my money back.
My excuse is one time I watched it to screen cap all the pictures for behind the voice actors, and the second time I watched it for this. So that's my excuse.
Yeah, that's an excuse why
They're both work related.
Why you watched it, yes.
Otherwise I would not have done that.
Otherwise, you can pass on this, because it's a really bad sequel to Little Mermaid. There really shouldn't be a Little Mermaid sequel.
Mike, what do you think?
I think I've watched this twice as well. Once for...
the hell is it?
I completely forgot... No, shut up. I completely forgot that Tarah Strong was Melody. So when I went back through her credits prepping for that interview we did with Tarah Strong, I was like, oh, she was in Little Mermaid 2? I have to watch that movie now.
Yeah.
Because I had the DVD for the longest time, but I never watched it. I had both of them. I watched the first one, and I never watched the second one. I just put it back on my shelf. And when I got to the research for the Tarah Strong interview that we had done, I was like, oh, well, I guess I have to watch that movie now.
Yeah, I mean, this one definitely has the more, classic, or not classic, but the more, voice-over universe voice actors. I mean, we don't have as many, celebrity-type people, even though it wasn't really celebrities in the first one. But, you got Rob Paulson and Tarah Strong and Cam Clark and Tress MacNeille and Frank Welker, of course, again. So, I mean, you have some more of the... the names you would expect to see on a voice acting project, but...
I did not expect to see Clancy Brown, Lex Luthor from Superman the Animated Series and Justice League as Undertow, though. I did not know that was Clancy Brown.
I didn't know either.
The voice acting was one of the positive things about this movie, actually.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they all do a fairly good job. I actually don't even mind... I mean, I know I'm a Rob Paulson fanboy, as you call it, but I don't actually even mind him as Prince Eric. And, of course, Kenneth Mars is still doing King Triton, so that's no big deal. Cam Clark's doing an older version of Flounder, so that's not a big deal to me. None of them seem like they're completely out of place, except for maybe the insertion of McNeil as the Penguins, because I see it and all I can hear is Gadget from Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers. Why is Gadget in The Little Mermaid?
I don't know.
I love Tress, but that's the exact same Gadget voice.
Yeah.
As far as the characters, though, I mean, we get basically the same characters from the beginning, except instead of the eels, you get Undertow.
Which is a vast improvement, I think.
Oh,
yeah, I actually like
better.
Undertow. Yeah. Instead of Ursula, you get Morgana, who, I don't know, she's just as good as Ursula, I think.
Yeah.
You get the addition of Melody the Kid, which is fine.
She's the skinny version of Ursula.
Yeah. And then you get the Penguins, and then you get Tip and Dash.
Yeah.
So otherwise it's the same characters, but which ones did you guys like Tarah, which characters did you like the best in this one? I know you said in the first one you liked Ariel and Eric the best, I think, with and Sebastian. What about this one?
You know what? I did like Melody. I'll not just because she's the main character, but I really did like her. I thought she had I thought, even though, the sequel's not that good, but I did like her as a character, and still Sebastian for me.
That makes sense.
Because, Sebastian. You can't have a film without Sebastian.
What about least favorite in the sequel?
Least favorite? Did I have a least favorite? I can't even remember. I think my least favorite was probably Tip and Dash. I didn't like them.
I didn't dislike them, but I didn't quite understand why they needed to be in this one. I didn't quite get the point of having them.
I know. I knew they were trying to be like, comic relief, but I really didn't like them.
Yeah.
Tip and Dash are the poor man's Timon and Pumbaa, in my opinion.
Yeah. But it's like, why couldn't Sebastian and Flounder just fill the same role in Scuttle? That was their role. Like, so,
I think because they were trying to set up that Melody is a different person from Ariel, so she would have it's a generational gap there. Whereas Sebastian and Flounder were more of Ariel's friends and have more to do with Ariel and Eric rather than Melody, outside of the fact that Sebastian is technically in charge of knowing where Melody is at all times.
Yeah.
They had to give Melody her own friends, I guess you could say.
Yeah, and for those of you that are unfamiliar with who Tip and Dash might be, Dash is like what is he, a walrus, or is that a walrus, or a sea lion, or some big mammal-like thing, and Tip is a penguin. I don't remember exactly what type of animal Dash is supposed to be, but, they're both the sea creatures. But, yeah, I just didn't understand why they were in this one. Yeah. But I guess what you're saying makes sense. As far as my least favorite character, for the first half, I don't like Ariel. I don't care.
Yeah, I didn't like her characterizations.
Yeah, I mean, once she gets involved a little bit more later on, I don't mind as much, but for the first half, I just don't really care for Ariel. If I had to pick a favorite character, I guess I'm going with Sebastian in this one. I don't know. I don't really love any of the characters as they are in this movie. What about you?
I don't know. I like... See, for me, it's not more of the characters. Specifically, it's like the older characters. It's not more of whether I like them or not, because I like them in the original movie. But I like the progression of them. Like Flounder. I almost said Cam Clark, but Flounder. Flounder has grown up. He's got kids of his. So, I mean, it's doing the sequel thing of, hey, time has passed. Let's show them what would have happened after that first film. Mm-hmm. And that's what I liked about Flounder. I still enjoy Kenneth Mars as the voice of Triton. I like Triton in this, playing the grandpa role. I thought that was really cool.
Actually, yeah, he's a good character. I almost forgot about him. He might be one of my favorites in this one.
Yeah, I like Triton in this one because because you have Ariel and Eric to be the parents this time. You have Triton to be the doting grandfather, pretty much. No, seriously.
It's true. I agree with you there. He is the doting grandfather. He's not... I think becoming a grandfather, like, it really changed his personality. Like, he's softer.
Well, his personality changed at the end of the first one as well, because he realizes what he did to his daughter, and he realizes that he needed to make it right. So, I mean, King Triton, or I always want to call him Trident. King Triton is... Triton. Yeah, King Triton is... He never was really a character that was a bad father. He's just a very strict father, and then he realizes in the first film that he had to, let up a little bit on that being strictness.
Mm-hmm. Ariel's lame as a human.
He's overprotective. He's just overprotective.
Yeah. Kevin said Ariel is lame as a human.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
She kind of is.
Yeah.
She kind of is. I'll agree with that 100%. She's kind of...
I need my Ariel to be a mermaid.
She needs to be a mermaid. Like, when she turns back into the mermaid in number 2 to go find her daughter, like, I'm like, yes!
Yeah, she actually became cooler just by turning back into a mermaid.
Like, go back. Go back to your roots. You're a mermaid.
I was like, is this a new character? I didn't know Ariel was in this movie.
Yeah. Like Kevin said before, he is a Rob Paulson fanboy, and I love Rob Paulson as well, and it was great to talk to Rob, but I'm sorry. I don't mind him voicing Prince Eric, but it didn't fit to me.
Well, it's not as good as it's not like the original, so it's not going to fit perfectly, but I don't mind this one as much as I mind the Jim Cummings one.
Well, yeah, but Jim Cummings was Triton, so, I mean...
No, that's what I'm saying. I don't mind this replacement as much as that one. I agree that it's not quite the same, but for some reason it didn't bother me as much as the new voice for King Triton.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But that's what happens, though, in sequels, right? Like, we've been through this so many times.
Well, yeah, I know that.
Sometimes they get lucky, and sometimes it's terrible.
Sometimes it's neither terrible nor good.
Yeah.
It's in the middle.
Yeah.
I don't know how will we rate this one overall.
Jerica in the chat says that Ariel's got anxiety as a human. She's got 6 different pill bottles for all her human symptoms.
She's paranoid.
Yeah.
Well, and to go to what Tarah said as far as how would we rate this one, I think the second movie here is kind of in that middle ground where it doesn't, as far as the casting goes, there's enough of them that are the same, and the ones that are different don't bother me as much compared to the third one. The third one just seems all out of kilter for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why don't we get into
voice acting goes?
Yeah. Why don't we get into the actual show here, Kevin, with that 5-minute plot synopsis?
5 seconds plot synopsis.
I said 5 minutes, not 5
We already said it. Reverse opposite, polar opposite of the first one. It's the same movie. I think this one was made during a writer's strike. I honestly think there was nobody available to come up with an actual plot for this one. So they just said, what if we do the first one again and then try to disguise it so nobody knows? But they didn't disguise it very well. I'm serious. This is the exact same freaking movie.
It's just instead of Ariel, it's her daughter going to be
the daughter goes through the exact same thing, but opposite.
Except she's 13, not 16. Only difference.
But she's trying to get to the sea instead of the land. It's the same thing. Morgana is Ursula. Melody is Ariel. It's the same freaking movie. Do we need to go over the plot?
Do we have to go over the plot?
I think.
We should at least go. We should at least go over the ending where Ariel finally, gets, finally comes around.
Well, do we have to shouldn't we mention what Melody does in this film? Morgana basically same thing with Ursula, tricking Ariel into getting control of the kingdom. Same thing. She gets Melody to steal King Triton's tridents, and she has no idea that that's even her grandfather.
Right.
She has no clue that until Morgana's you stole from your own grandfather.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, and wasn't there in the first one though? Another similarity in the first one, there was the Ursula was keeping the thing in the shell or whatever, right?
Yeah.
She had the shell that needed to be broken so it could release everything or whatever. And this one,
it had the voice, yeah.
Yeah, it had the voice in it. So just replace the shell now for the locket in this one.
Yeah.
And they're almost serving the same function there too.
Well, the locket has the mermaid history in it.
Right.
Right? So it's it's the truth, which is in that locket. But Melody doesn't figure it out until Morgana explains it to her.
Right.
And it should have been her mom explaining it to her, not, this evil, for lack of a better word, bitch. It's okay, thanks, Mom, for, lying to me about, being half a mermaid.
Yeah, and in this one, instead of having the marriage or the wedding to end everything, they tear down the wall that has kept Melody and all the people from the water for this entire time to try to protect them.
Yeah.
The stupid seawall.
Yeah, the seawall that gets destroyed by the trident.
Yeah.
And the people start swimming and get eaten by sharks.
Woo! And it's woo! Everyone jump in the ocean.
That would have been a great time for Jaws to show up.
Dun 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 dun.
Just what I've been waiting for.
It's feeding time.
It's I've been waiting for that damn wall to come down.
Now I can eat everybody.
Yeah, but Melody is a new character kind of, but she really is just Ariel from the first one, and there are little tiny differences maybe, but I swear to God, they just didn't spend any money to hire someone to write a new movie.
I know. But you know what? I swear to God, Melody...
We're doing a lot of swearing.
Yeah. Melody looks more like Eric than Ariel.
That's true.
Don't you agree? She has black hair.
Yeah.
And she doesn't, I don't see Ariel in her. Maybe her eyes, but
Eric had all the dominant genes. Mermaid people don't have dominant genes.
Yeah. Except for, the going back to when you made the comment about her being able to be underwater for that long. It's because she has Ariel's genes.
And the part I'm talking about is when Morgana first gets her down there, before she drops the little drop that turns her into a mermaid. Mm-hmm. How long is she down there chatting with her?
For 5 minutes.
It was a long time. Even at the beginning when she's swimming around, I'm this girl can she can hold her breath.
I know.
She is an athlete.
It's exactly like the scene in Percy Jackson, where Percy's sitting down like on the bottom of a pool, just thinking. Like,
she also has the ability to jump over walls that are twice as tall as she is, because she does that to get in her window, and she has super like drying powers, because none of her clothes that she was swimming with are wet, ever.
I see that in a lot of cartoons, to be honest with you. Like, they magically go in water, come out, and they're dry.
Hair dryer.
They're dry. I wish I had that power in real life, to come out of the water and boom.
Yes. Another thing, if you've ever noticed in all the Little Mermaid movies, their hair is perfectly styled underwater.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. They never get like wavy hair or frizzy hair or curly hair after they're wet, because that usually happens to like, most people. You come out with like soaking wet hair and it's all gross, but in the cartoon world, that can't happen. That doesn't exist.
No, you don't even leave a puddle where you walk. You don't have to wipe your shoes off. It's great. I want to live in the cartoon world. But getting into the let's just face it. If the cartoon world existed in real life, that'd be awesome. Yes.
Because then we would have these magical powers.
And we would be the rulers of everything. Anyway.
And we never get pneumonia.
That's true. The music in this one, obviously, like we said before, it's not the same as the movie, the first one, but it wasn't intended to be, I don't think. But there was 8 songs Down to the Sea instead of the first one had. And we have Tip and Dash and Octopus Garden, For a Moment, Give a Little Love, Hot, 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 Here on the Land and Sea. And there is an actual version of Part of Your World that's played at the ending credits that's performed by country singer Shelley Wright. But, the music's all right. It's not bad, but it doesn't hold a candle to the first one.
Oh, definitely not.
Yeah.
The only song I can say that I actually enjoyed listening to is For a Moment.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only one that I loved, and maybe Down to the Sea.
Yeah, Down to the Sea, Under the Sea, it's the same thing.
Yeah, but For a Moment, I liked it just because it kind of reminded me of Part of Your World.
Mm-hmm.
But like, honestly, the freaking songs in this movie, like, they're nothing compared to number 1.
Yeah, not even close.
No, they're not.
I'm sure you'd like the next little bit of information that we're sharing with people, Mike. As far as your crush on a certain voice actor.
I don't have a crush on her, but anyway. Why don't you take that, Tarah?
All right. We have is it an Annie nomination? Yeah, we have an Annie nomination for Outstanding Individual Achievement for a Voice Acting by a Female Performer in an Animated Feature Production goes to Tarah Strong as the voice of Melody.
So,
looky there.
The one award that they were nominated for as far as this movie goes
is the voice acting by Tarah Strong's Melody.
Yeah.
Go figure. Well, she did do a good job as Melody.
Yeah, she did.
She did.
It should be absolutely no surprise that as far as the reception goes for this one.
Yeah.
As all Disney sequels.
Oh, man. The reception. The film received a rather mixed to negative response, with many users noting that it was essentially a retelling of the first film. It currently holds a 46% Rotten rating on the user community of Rotten Tomatoes.
So we've
no
from
surprise
90%,
there.
90% for the first movie. Actually, it's up to 56% now. On the second one, it was 46 a little while ago, and it's bumped up to 56, but still pretty bad.
No surprise, though.
No, not at all.
And of course, the film was released direct-to-DVD on September 19, 2000. The original DVD release has been discontinued. A special edition DVD with deleted song, Gonna Get My Wish, and New Game was released on December 16, 2008. That, unfortunately, has also gone back into the vault.
Well, the first one's just completely discontinued. The second one's in the vault.
maybe the first one had another cock reference in it.
It can stay in the vault.
I can't believe you just said that, Mike.
There's another cock reference in number 2?
No, I said maybe the first version of the one that's now discontinued completely. Maybe it had another cock reference in the package.
It means rooster.
God. Oh, God.
Yeah, anyways. Up next, you're going to hear the trailer for The Little Mermaid, Ariel's Beginning.
Walt Disney Pictures presents The Little Mermaid, Ariel's Beginning. Discover the story you never knew.
There's more to this place than meets the eye.
How one daring mermaid transformed an entire kingdom.
Come on, Sebastian, let's go.
That girl is working on my last claw.
When a friendship was formed.
My name's Flounder. Woohoo!
And how music came alive. The Little Mermaid, Ariel's Beginning. An all-new movie on Disney DVD. Coming soon.
The Little Mermaid, Ariel's Beginning is the final film in the Little Mermaid franchise that we'll be talking about today. We will also be bringing up the animated series a little bit later after this, probably in the outro when we do final thoughts. So, Tarah, take it away with the history lesson.
All right. The Little Mermaid, Ariel's Beginning is a 2008, of course, Disney animated feature film and direct-to-video prequel to the 1989 film The Little Mermaid. Directed by Peggy Holmes, the film story is set before the events of the original film, where all the music has been banned from the underwater kingdom of Atlantica by King Triton, and his youngest daughter Ariel attempts to challenge this law. Walt Disney Studios Home Entertainment released the film on August 26, 2008. The film openly contradicts certain events of the prequel television series, implying that it is an independent installment of the Disney's Little Mermaid franchise.
Up until today, I had never seen this.
I kind of wish I didn't. I
had heard of it. I had heard of it way back when it was still titled as The Little Mermaid 3, and I thought it was going to be yet another story of future adventures of Ariel, Eric, and Melody. And then I found out that they were doing a prequel movie, and I'm like, oh god.
That would have been great, though, kind of in a way, if they would have continued the whole,
Right, that's what I'm saying. That's why I was excited, is if it was going to be further adventures of, Grandpa Triton and Ariel and Eric and that whole family.
Yeah.
Whereas now this is a prequel film, and the only thing that I actually liked about this film is actually seeing what happened to Ariel's mother, because it is never mentioned in any of the previous films. Well, we
That's
just
true.
assume that she had a mom, something happened to her, and Triton is here to raise her by himself.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe he just manufactured her out of clay. I don't know. Anybody that gets that reference gets a 500 geek points.
Oh, stop it with that. And I don't know, I have no problem with prequels. I love the idea of prequels. I love the idea of origin stories and stuff like that. But you can't just openly contradict things. And not only are they contradicting things from the television series, but the characters are not acting as the same characters in some of these. I mean, some of them are just different personalities altogether, it seems like. I don't know. I just have too many problems. I actually at least they tried to write a plot, even if it's bad. At least they didn't try to copy the first two and have, take 3 on the same story. They attempted to write a story, but it just has too many problems.
There's so many problems in it.
Yeah.
I don't like the prequel. When I heard Little Mermaid 3 was coming out, I was a little bit pumped. And then when I saw the trailer and I heard about it and I found out what it was going to be about, I'm like, no. No. And then I saw the teaser. They had a teaser on one of the DVDs I was watching of the whole scene where Ariel sees Sebastian singing for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
And I find out that music is banned from Atlantica. I'm like, what the fuck kind of universe is this?
Really, that's the best you guys can come up with, is that music has been banned?
I'm like, that's how we're gonna go back to Ariel's past, before she meets Eric and Ursula and all this crazy stuff. You don't even go back and explain about Ursula. You talk about, the whole music and her mom. Yeah, I get why they brought the mom in. That was a good choice. But instead of, going and explaining about how Ursula, why Ursula wanted, to take over the kingdom, you have this other, I guess, mermaid fish person looking after Ariel and the girls, and she's evil as well.
See, Disney had set up with the release of the 2-disc Platinum Edition of The Little Mermaid, when they had that deleted scene saying that Ursula was Triton's sister, they had a perfect setup to create a young version of Ursula, to actually show her in the kingdom and show how she got banished. Instead of what they did, introducing this Marina Del Rey bitch, who is a poor man's Ursula at best, even lower than that. I think Disney made a huge mistake in not making her a young Ursula.
Yeah, they made so many mistakes in this one. Like, I wanted to like it better because I'm like, hey, it's got an actual plot, but then I'm like, wait a second, they banned music and that's the plot? Like, I don't know. And then some of these characters, I mean, getting into the characters a little bit, obviously you have King Triton and Ariel, and you have all her sisters who are annoying as all hell, most of them. You still get Sebastian and Flounder, and then you get this, like, band group of turtles and different octopus and stingrays and different types of fish. And then, like we said, Marina Del Rey and this Benjamin character.
I want to know what kind of damn fish he is.
It's a manatee.
Oh my god, it's a manatee.
It's a manatee? Oh my god.
It's a freaking manatee.
But it's terrible. It looks terrible.
Who has, like, the worst personality ever.
The only thing...
Doesn't even have a personality.
The only thing I will say positively about this film, outside of the fact that they replaced Kenneth Mars? Yeah, Kenneth Mars. Outside of the fact that they replaced him with Jim Cummings as King Triton's voice, I will say that this voice cast, stellar. It reads like a who's who between Jodie Benson, Sally Field. Thank God Samuel E. Wright reprised as Sebastian. This would have been a completely different movie if Sebastian didn't have his same voice actor.
Oh, definitely.
And then as some of the sisters, you have Jennifer Hale, Gray Delisle, Tara Strong, Jeff Bennett was Benjamin, regardless of how we feel about Benjamin the Manatee. I think Jeff Bennett did a fairly good job with what he was given. Ron Paulson as the Ink Spot and Octopus, and Swifty the Shrimp. I thought that was hilarious.
Yeah, him and Kevin Michael Richardson as the band are pretty good together.
Yeah.
I did find the sisters annoying. I know it's not the voice actor's fault, but the way they were portrayed is just so... It was like fingers on a chalkboard or some fingernails on a chalkboard to me. It's just, I don't know. It was grating and annoying. I know they were good voices, but... I don't ever want to see Ariel's sisters again.
I'm with you there. Ugh.
Or Benjamin.
Benjamin, ugh. Honestly, just can't believe that character.
Yeah.
I wanna, like, he's so, like, I'm trying to, like, think of the right word to describe that character, but he's just so blah.
It's like an amoeba.
Like, yeah, he's so blah, and, like, he's just there, and he's so monotone, I'm just, okay. Does anybody see a point for him, like, to be in this film?
Yeah.
Like,
I don't know, I guess...
He may as well be a brick wall.
Yeah, he might as well not even be there. Just like, I don't know. The only characters worth anything in this movie are Ariel and Sebastian and, I guess, Flounder and...
And the band.
The band, I guess, is alright.
Yeah.
Even King Triton's worse in this one, like I've mentioned a couple times.
Well, the problem I have with Triton is that, first of all, in the flashback scenes, it's nice to see the beginning as far as... that he was actually married, he was very much in love with his wife. My main problem with Triton in this, they didn't give him a different look other than giving him a brown hair and a brown beard. It's the same beard, though. It's the same hairstyle, though. It's not, like, he doesn't, the only signs of aging on Triton between this movie and the other movies is the fact that his beard turns white, for Christ's sake.
Yeah. Well, and what kind of retard band's music?
Okay, well, now as far as that goes, I can kind of see it because his wife died. It was this whole connection he had with her, and he was distraught over the loss of his wife. What?
That was a stupid connection to make.
Well, I'm just saying.
So I don't know. someone close to you dies and it has something to associate, I don't know. I'm not buying it. I've been through grieving processes. I've never had some type of weird connection like that where I did something completely illogical out.
It's just extreme. Like, it's extreme right there. You know?
And then for so many years to still be holding on to it, even when your own daughters are, wanting to be exposed. I don't know. It was a terrible plot. It's almost somehow worse than the retelling of the first movie.
We can just end the episode right here and be like, crappy movie. Let's not even bother talking about it.
So I'm assuming all of us have favorite characters. It's just Ariel and Sebastian.
Just Sebastian.
Yeah. For me, it's Ariel, Sebastian, Flounder, and the band. Although I don't care for Flounder's voice actor in this, I like the kid from the first one. Even Cam Clark could have come back for this role and put a younger spin on the voice that he did in the second movie. But I don't care for the kid that they got for this one.
At least the worst characters is Marina Del Rey and all the sisters.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I hate Marina Del Rey.
There's a few sisters that aren't as annoying as the rest, but I can't remember which ones are which.
Does anybody else want to slap her, or is it just me?
Yeah. She's the worst villain out of the three.
Yeah.
Princess Atina, I believe, is the oldest one, and is the one that was in the dark orange type, and she was the least one that I wanted to smack so hard.
One of the blondes I didn't mind, but I can't remember if it was Arista or Andrina. One of them was really annoying, and one of them was not.
Yeah.
How about those names, though? Atina, Alana, Aquata, Arista, Andrina, and Adela.
Are those the same names from the first movie?
Yep.
Yeah.
They are?
Yep.
Wow. Just goes to show you how much I didn't care for that first opening scene and paid no attention to what their names were in the first film.
Yeah.
Because you couldn't even stand listening to the songs.
I know, exactly.
I like the fact that this one had similar things as the first one as far as the production goes. It says it was originally scheduled for 2007 release. But when this one guy took over Disney Animation, more resources were spent on completing Cinderella 3 instead, so it kind of got put on the back burner again until Cinderella 3 was
hold on
done.
now. You can't just say when this one guy, because that one guy was John Lasseter, who was the main guy one of the main guys behind Pixar and Toy Story and all those films. So
That's not on my radar. So,
well, Cinderella 3 was more important than the...
Apparently, I don't think they spent
it.
The thing that cracks me up is that they said that more resources were spent on Cinderella 3 than Little Mermaid 3. I don't think any resources were spent on either of them.
No. You can listen to that in, I forget what episode number it is, but in our Cinderella episode.
Like maybe you should have canceled one of them and just made one of them actually decent.
Yeah, go back and listen to episode 82 and you'll hear our rant on that. That's ironic. That is extremely ironic. They spent more money on Cinderella 3, but they both ended up being really crappy.
Well, Cinderella 3 wasn't...
It wasn't bad. No, it wasn't that bad.
Yeah, it wasn't that bad, but it wasn't like Disney classic type of...
No, not at all.
Basically, like I said before, I think I'm just going to cover the plot really quick, and I'm not really going to read too much off this, but basically what you have here is you have a young Ursula with eels that don't talk, thank God, with this weird manatee-looking thing, Benjamin, who wants to be... She wants Sebastian's job. So, like I said before, Disney missed out on making this character, Marina Del Rey, a young Ursula. And I wouldn't mind if Sally Field had voiced a young version of Ursula. I don't think that would have been such a bad voice cast for that character.
No.
But they didn't go that way. They went with this Marina Del Rey witch, and just, oh God.
Oh, I hate this character. I had nightmares about this character.
So the basic overall plot is that we get this flashback of King Triton and Queen Athena, which they totally ripped that off, and they're all happy and everything else and this, that, and the other thing, and all of a sudden this pirate ship comes up, Queen Athena gets crushed, he bans music, Ariel sneaks out, finds Flounder, Flounder finds this music club, and then it basically follows the first film, because Triton comes in, everybody disappears, He locks everybody up. It's just, oh God. It's not even making any sense to me anymore. And
we have a bad person that just wants Sebastian's job because apparently that's a great job, and then we have a king that bans music, and Ariel joins a band and wants music back. That's all you need to know.
Yes.
If you're not already turned off from it, I don't know what's wrong with you.
Yeah.
I did, though, as far as the music goes, I actually did like the music in this one maybe better than the second one.
Yeah, I did too.
And maybe that's just because we have the whole band and it's all the whole movie centered about music. But I kind of liked. I mean, I don't remember a lot of the songs, but I just remember while I was watching them, liking some of them. Not like I liked the first one, obviously, but I do like the songs a little better in the second one. Everyone else has fallen asleep.
Yeah, no, we're not falling asleep. It's I blame.
I'm still here.
I blame Ustream, but yeah, the music in this makes absolute sense to this film story. It follows the film. I didn't feel that. The line, I didn't feel like I've said before where people would just jump in and say, hey, it's time to throw in this song. I mean, yeah, they did mention conga lines, but I mean, the music fit this film better than it did the second film.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So, getting into the legacy segment, what year was that? Was there a year on that or no?
2008.
Okay.
2008, yeah.
Yeah, the DVD became the top-selling DVD for the week ending August 31st, 2008.
Apparently nothing else came out that week.
No.
We should probably go back and look and see what else came out that week.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, that couldn't have been anything good.
I cannot believe this. Reviews of this film have generally been positive, though the new villain, Marina Del Rey, has been criticized as being a poor follow-up to Ursula. The animation quality of the film has been praised as being impressive for direct-to-video and comparable to that of the original film. I don't agree with that. But the music has also been criticized as being unmemorable, with one review stating that to label this a musical would be false advertising.
Oh, not an understatement.
Yeah, no, it's not an understatement.
And 63% on Rotten Tomatoes, just for the record.
Wow.
Better than number 2. Go
so
figure.
It gets better reviews than number 2 usually by about everybody, but still not real great.
Like I said, there's only a few problems that I have with this. Like Kevin said, the sisters and Marina Del Rey. I have a problem. I love Jim Cummings. He's an awesome voice actor. I have a problem with them choosing him to replace Kenneth Mars as the voice of Triton. Yeah. I have a few plot problems as well, but overall, I really enjoyed this movie. For the most part. I mean, just taking it on the face of what it is.
Ignoring all the plot.
Well, I mean, I like the plot as far as them showing what happened to her mother. Because, like I said before...
5 minutes.
What?
That was the first 5 minutes.
Well, still.
You like the movie for 5 minutes. And then ignore the rest
I have an attention span of 5 minutes. On December 16th, 2008, the film was released in the Little Mermaid trilogy box set that includes the Little Mermaid Platinum Edition and the Little Mermaid 2 Return to the Sea, but unfortunately has gone back into the Disney Vault as well. So we are going to take a quick break. You're going to hear some commercials. You're going to hear some IGN bitches running and screaming for their lives, and some other stuff as well. So we'll be back.
ToonCast will be back after these messages.
I go while listening to ToonCast.
Hey guys, it's Mike Hunt, and we here at IGN have just put together a totally cool list of the top 100 anime series. Oh my god, what's happening?
I am from the GeekCast Radio Network, and I have been sent from the cartoon gods to do away with your crappy top 100 list and to enlist all of the other geek gods from across the internet. With our powers combined, we will create the most epic top 100 list of all time and forever put you peons at IGN to shame. So go tell all the other morons at IGN to take cover, because the Geekcast Radio Network's top 100 animated series of all time list is coming soon.
This is Dr. Wily, and I will destroy Mega Man while listening to ToonCast!
This is Megatron, leader of the Predacons. And if you're hearing this, it means the Beast Unleashed podcast is now over. Yes. In the Beast Unleashed, myself, Steve Megatron Phillips, Pecan Court Michael Wilson, and TFG1 Mike review Beast Wars and Beast Machines in the very first podcast of its kind. Yes. In the podcast, we interview voice actors, writers from the show, and talk in-depth trivia between everything in between. So, if you're interested, you can tune in to the now finished Beast Unleashed podcast over on GeekCastRadio.com. Ha 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 ha! Excellent! Yes!
Do you like retro shows? Did you grow up in either the 80s or the 90s? Then tune into Telecast, GeekCastRadio.com's newest podcast. Join us here on the Telecast as we revisit some of your favorite shows, such as Clarissa Explains It All, Salute Your Shorts, Saved by the Bell, and much, much more, only on GeekCastRadio.com.
Sword of Omens, give me sight beyond sight. I see a new episode of ToonCast coming this week.
Now back to ToonCast.
So, final thoughts on the Little Mermaid franchise, Tarah?
Oh, you know what? It's good. It's a good franchise. I kind of wish there wasn't a franchise, but it's a good story. I wish they would have stopped at number 1 because it was fine. Could have done without number 2 and definitely didn't need the prequel. But I don't have anything that bad to say about it. I love Little Mermaid. It'll always remain one of my favorite Disney films, and it'll always have a special place in my heart. So, Ariel, thank you.
I don't think, for me, I love the first one. I love seeing what happened to everyone in the second one as far as, like, what happened after the first movie. Because there's some movies that I'll watch that I'll be like, wait, that's it? You know, I feel like I want more to know more about what happened afterwards. So in that respect, I like this. I like the sequel and the prequel. Like I said before, I like Kevin said, the first 5 minutes of the plot.
It's 5 minutes, and then it's like, okay, well, what about the rest of the film? What
about you, Kevin?
Well, I mean, if we're just going to look at these 3 films individually and try to just talk about those, I mean, the as far as the prequel and the sequel, I don't really care for either one of them. The only reason I'll say that I like the second one better is because I guess since it copied the plot of the first one and the first one actually had a good plot, that somehow by default makes the second one a little bit better than the third one. But these 2 movies do nothing but prove and reinforce my feelings about Disney sequels. That's all that they do. I mean, Disney sequels are not needed at all. So, I mean, if you're going to ask me about the Little Mermaid franchise, I'm going to avoid that question because I don't want to say anything negative about Little Mermaid. But if you're just going to ask me about the actual Little Mermaid first film, it's easily in my top 5 or 10 animated movies of all time. Mm-hmm. It's just a great movie. It's one that, for me, ushered in a new era where I was interested in animation in the movie form again, in a big scale. And I'm so happy that it did good because those 4 movies that came out in the early, 89 and the early 90s are the greatest, in my opinion, some of the greatest movies ever made animated-wise.
Yes. Definitely agree 100%.
Yeah, but sequels can rot in hell, like I said from the beginning.
Yes. And they can stay in the vault. They can get lost in the vault.
I was right, Mike. Disney sequels suck.
No, not
all of them. Just
90-some percentile.
Just like 75% of them do.
You're being nice.
I'm being nice now.
Alright, so thank you for joining us here on ToonCast. There's several ways to get in contact with us or leave feedback for the show. Visit the website, geekcastradio.com. You can comment on each episode post. Leave the show's feedback in iTunes. Please do that. Speaking of which, we did receive 2 new reviews. I'm only going to cover one in this episode because the other one I'm going to cover when we get to our Disney Animation Spotlight roundup at the end of episode 90. So this first one is informal and entertaining. It's a 5-star review from I Love Alf 88. It was posted on January 12th, 2011. I especially like the shows on Disney and Hanna-Barbera properties. Why all the hate from Kevin on Dexter's Lab? That show has always amused me.
And I
Now, hold on. We've been over this before, since this person, I Love Alf, is probably new to listening to it, and this person's probably catching up, probably hasn't heard us go over and over and over about this, but I love Dexter. It was a cartoon of the time. It was what was on at the time. Kevin doesn't like it. Take the floor.
I'm just going to say what I've said from the beginning, which is the reason I hate Dexter's is the same reason I hate most of the crap that came out the same time period. Number one, and most of all, is I cannot stand that animation, the aesthetic of the animation and the character designs. I absolutely hate that style of animation. It looks like people are lazy. It looks like a bunch of preschoolers or elementary school people did it. It looked like it was half-assed done, and that's why I don't like it. I would rather it either be the cell animation that was in the 80s and early 90s, or just go straight to CGI. I hate the look of Dexter's, and I wish I'd had a list of all the other shows that had that same type of animation, so I'd not always just pinpointing on Dexter's, because it has nothing to do with the actual Dexter show. It has to do with that whole era and the type of animation that was being used, and I'll just leave it at that. I did watch a show, though, and it was crappy, too.
I agree with you. Oh, Dexter's Lab.
Thank you.
Oh, that animation. Oh.
I hate that style of animation, so that's where my problem lies, and I will hopefully put that to bed.
He's like a square.
Yeah.
He's got a square eye.
It's the same reason I don't like the South Park animation, and it's nothing against the South Park show. I don't like that style of animation.
It does look half-assed.
Okay.
I'll agree with you. It looks half-assed.
Follow us on Twitter. The show name there is GCRN ToonCast. Mine is DFD Mike. Tarah, what is your Twitter?
Tarah Blair.
And Kevin?
Optimus Solo.
Yeah, finally, you changed it.
Yes.
Yes, become a fan of us on Facebook. Go to facebook.com/Geekcast Radio Network. You can call our voicemail line. Tell us the show you're leaving the message for and your name. 502-526-5821. We hope you enjoyed this episode of ToonCast and wish you'll join us next time when the Disney Spotlight will continue and round up with the Lion King franchise. We will also be rounding up the entire animation spotlight on the Disney films we've done here on ToonCast, so expect a long episode. For now, I am TFG1 Mike with
Optimus Solo from BehindTheVoiceActors.com.
And Tarah the Rising Star.
Thank you for listening. Until next time.
Dun dun dun.
Dun dun dun.
That wasn't such a train wreck.